heard of, new documents that you may not have heard of yet. And then Laura Lee over here is going to give you some beautiful tips and knowledge on how not to freak out when you're thinking about all of this. So later on, if you find yourself sitting down with one of these, like a living will or something, and you start to get all nervous and feeling all the feels, then what Laura Lee is going to share with you tonight will hopefully bring you back in your body and allow you to actually complete these documents. Yeah, I mean, the reason why most people don't do advanced care planning is because it's super uncomfortable. It's unsettling, it's icky, it doesn't make you feel good. Nobody likes to think about their own demise, much less the demise of somebody that we love. But, you know, it's better to think about it now when you have the wits to do it. And that's why Laura Lee and I wanted to team up, is because I think it's really important to be able to settle ourselves down, because this is hard conversation. And she's going to make it easier for everybody. And one more thing too, is that deciding not to have these conversations with yourself or with your loved ones, remember that is also making a choice. But maybe it's not the best choice. So, advanced care planning documents, or ACP, modify or change the current standard of care during an emergency, which means your documents state treatment preferences that would differ from what healthcare professionals would initiate under a set of circumstances. In other words, if your heart stops, there are universal protocols that come into play to get your heart started again. You don't have to say anything, you don't have to do anything. There are things that just happen automatically. But there's a big difference between the heart stopping in like a normally healthy individual versus someone who has advanced terminal illness or someone who is very physically frail. And so that's why advanced care planning documents are so important, because if I can't say what I want in a situation, or more importantly, what I don't want, then I just kind of get caught up in this healthcare system, or some well-meaning loved one who is likely in a huge emotional crisis because of what's just happened, and they're terrified to make any sort of decisions on their own, right? So, you know that person who can never decide what to order for dinner? Do you want that person deciding what's going to happen to you? No, not at all. And you know, no one size fits all. So again, with any of these documents, if you leave here tonight and you're a little confused, or you have questions, or if you just don't think you can do it yourself, consult a lawyer. Lawyers are great. They have all the good information. So, you know, our medical system is a wonder, and it is designed to keep our bodies alive as long as possible. And that's incredible. And it's terrific under so many circumstances. But it's not always the best choice if you are someone who is very elderly, very frail, if you have a terminal illness, if you have disease in your body. What can happen is that all of a sudden a medical emergency could happen and you are left not being able to speak, right? You could be in a coma, you could be intubated. There are all sorts of scenarios where you find yourself helpless. And that's not the time for you to go, wow, I wish I figured out that healthcare document, because it would be really nice if somebody knew what I wanted at this particular moment. So these documents, they give you your voice when you don't have your voice. They help you keep your dignity, and they help ensure that everybody in the room is going to listen to you through these pieces of paper. When I was doing my doula training, filling out our advanced directives was by far the hardest thing to do. And we were people who not only showed up, but paid to talk about death and dying. But all of a sudden, when I was confronted with my own advanced care directives, it was really hard. It was really hard. And so I just kept this piece of paper, and I just get the words out. And then I thought about loved one's life. I'd be standing in the hospital bed, looking down at me, not able to speak. and seeing the pain and suffering on their faces because they don't know what to do, because I was never able to tell them. And I started thinking about that, and then boy, did I start writing stuff down really fast. So it's something that you do for yourself. It's something that you do for the people in your life that you love, because you don't want to put them through that. It's a really awful thing. So when you finally get your advanced care directive papers and you're sitting down, as you start doing it, even if you don't write a lot, have that moment, see those faces, and then get up and do something really good for yourself for the rest of the day. Come back to it later. So think, talk, record, and share. These are 4 steps for some of the documents that you may choose to fill out. Because I hate to be the one to break it to you, but until further notice, death does have a 100% impressive success rate. So now is the time to start thinking this. Take the baby steps that you need to get to these documents. And because it's going to take a while to wrap your heads and hearts around some of the information. So there are 2 basic legal documents in advanced care planning, and they're called advance directives. One, living will, and the other is durable of a care plan. And in state, you may have a different, but these are the corners of your care plan. Good news about these documents that you can fill them yourself. You can download them from a website. You can do them in your living room, in your pajamas, with your cup of coffee. You can do them in the place that makes you feel more comfortable. So a living will is the wishes that you put into writing now, today, that you write your living will. The healthcare proxy is the person who will carry these out for you if you are not able to speak on your own behalf. So you really should have both of them, because one really is not so good without the other. A living will contains your directions in situations that would require some sort of major medical treatment. It includes questions about the type of life support you might want if you were in a coma, under what circumstances you might want a DNR, what to do in case of emergency if you have a terminal illness, what would happen if you suffered permanent brain damage or were close to death, what kind of comfort care or treatment might you want at the end of life. So your advantage in having a good healthcare proxy is that this person will have your living will have talked to you about it, hopefully ahead of time, and they will be the ones standing in for you if you can't speak during a medical emergency. Generally, a healthcare proxy is not a form. It's often your spouse, and then be your adult children. But not everybody has a spouse. You might have a spouse and your spouse has adult children. Not everybody likes children. So if this is your circumstance, then you get to pick whoever you want looking after you. So if you and your spouse, or maybe you get a divorce, or maybe you have varying differences on how you want your end of life to look, you can pick somebody else. So you can pick whoever you want to be for your healthcare proxy. So the living will is like a roadmap. Think of it that way. For your healthcare proxy and your medical team, if you are in some sort of a medical emergency, and again, this only applies if you cannot speak for yourself for whatever reason. So your healthcare proxy is not going to be willy-nilly making decisions on your own. They will be in consultation with your doctors. They will have the ability to sign if you need an operation or if you need something. So it's really important that whoever you pick to be your healthcare proxy is somebody who really understands your hopes, your fears, your wishes, has talked to you about what quality of life looks like for you. So yeah, it's really good to have these conversations. There's a wonderful directive, advanced directive, it's called the 5 Wishes. And I have that's written in the Zoom chat. I have a copy over there. It's a wonderful document. It's written by legal and healthcare professionals. It's not written in legalese. It's a legal document in New York State and Florida, and I think it's up to like 46 different states. You can fill it out by yourself, so you don't need to take this to a lawyer. And everything is in one package. It has a lot of information in there too, so it really guides you through the steps of making some of these decisions. And you can fill it out online. You can download it, carry a PDF of it around in your phone if you want. It's a really, really, really good document. So there's some lesser known documents that it's not a bad idea to get a little acquainted with now that you've decided to open the store. And these are physician ordered documents. So this is something that you might hear about or you might have applied to you if you are in the hospital or have some sort of terminal disease. Many of you have probably heard the term DNR, do not resuscitate. This is about whether or not you want CPR. And I would just like to take a moment here to say, I would encourage everybody, no matter what your age, ask your doctor about what CPR is really like. We have this like beautiful vision of CPR from TV and the movies. It's really not like that, especially if you are a frail elderly person or if you have a disease that compromises you in any way. So I would encourage everybody, have like a good frank conversation with your doctor about that. Because it's an important thing to understand for you as an individual, if this is a good idea for you or not. There is also something called a DNI, which stands for do not intubate, and that refers to food or liquids. And there is also a form called MOLST, and that stands for Medical Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment. And that includes a lot of specific options, which I'm not going to get into today. It's a very clinical document. I also have a copy of it over on the table over there. And I would encourage everybody at home to maybe download a copy of this because this is a document that might come into play for yourself or a loved one. And it can be a little abrupt, and it's hard to think of yourself or your loved one in medical terms that some of these documents, all these documents are written in. So if you have a chance, just really get a look at them, because what can also often happen is that you're called to the hospital, forms are being shoved at you, you're signing things, you're not really quite sure what's going on. If you've given yourself the gift of acquainting yourselves just a little bit with this, it might make that experience either not happen because you will walk in fully prepared, or it might make a bad experience just a little bit easier for you to handle. And so doctors don't always have the luxury of time to be able to have these discussions with us about advanced care planning, about these documents. We all know medicine is so specialized right now. We're lucky if we get 10 minutes in the room during a regular visit. But try, if you can, if you have questions, grab your doctor, really try and get them to walk through things with you, because some of the language in this is really hard to wrap your head around, especially these physician ordered documents. So it's really helpful, I think, to your doctor for you to initiate these conversations, because there's not a lot of training on their side on how to sit somebody down and talk about advanced care planning, how to talk about end-of-life care. So if you bring it up, then they might be like, thank goodness, thank you for asking me that question. And there is actually on Medicare, you can actually get a Medicare covered appointment with your physician. It's called a Medicare wellness visit. So you can schedule this with your doctor ahead of time. You can bring all your documents in and have time to sit with your doctor. And if you call to make the appointment and the office isn't sure of it, you can just have them check with Medicare. But everybody on Medicare gets this wellness visit with their physician. Okay, so you have the documents. You've managed to breathe and write things down that you want. Now you have to tell somebody about it, right? You've got to share these documents with people. You've got to share them with your healthcare proxy. The amazing people discover, but it's proxy in the actually happened to me, and I was quite surprised. And so these documents are great, but you have to share them with your doctor. Ask your physician, how can I put these into my medical file? Share them with your family, share them with your loved ones, share them with your kids, share them with anybody who might have something to say about your end of life care that might not agree with what you wanted. And I will also stop and say, these documents that you're all filling out, this is the time that you get to be supremely selfish. This gets to be completely about what you want, not what somebody else wants, not what the outside world thinks is the best. It's all about you. And that is super hard, as you know, especially if you're parents. But these documents really are all about what you want. And I also want to say that these documents are not permanent. So you can fill them out one day, like sitting and filling out, do I want a DNR as you're sitting in your pajamas and it's a beautiful day out and your cat's purring and you've got a perfect cup of coffee. You're like, a DNR sounds like a terrible idea because I want more of this. Something could change. You can change that. So nothing is ever written in stone. So, but I encourage everybody, start with something. Even if you don't fill everything out, even if you get a copy of the 5 wishes and you don't fill everything out, or you just sketch it out, that's so much more than so many people have. That's so much more that everybody will appreciate having if something happens and you can't speak for yourself. And also, in talking to people about what you've decided, you can also give them permission to have this conversation themselves. And so it is kind of like a gift you're giving someone. There is a really wonderful organization called the Conversation Project, and they are huge online. They literally are like, yep, this is all hard, so we're going to help you guys out. They literally have templates of conversations online that you can download and practice. Either if you are presenting someone with your end of life documents, or if you want to open up this conversation with somebody in your life, with somebody who is, your parents, your grandparents. It's also an incredibly beautiful thing that you can share with someone that if they have a terminal illness. To be able to sit down with someone and really speak heart to heart about these things is the best gift that you can ever give somebody, I believe. And so sharing these documents, super, super important. So okay, so now you've got everything in place. You've got your living will, you've shared it with your medical team, you have your healthcare proxy, they know that they're your healthcare proxy, you've had discussions about what could happen if you can't speak for yourself. A medical event happens. The worst has happened. You're in the bed, people are looking at you, you're possibly aware of what's going on. Everything goes according to plan, and then you wake up. You wake up and you can start talking again. How amazing is that? These documents go mute. So your healthcare proxy cannot wag their finger at you and tell you how to live your life. They've lost all their power over your life. These documents cease to be of any use because you can now speak for yourself. And depending on what sort of a medical event may or may not have happened, you can use that, you can change these documents. If your healthcare proxy maybe just falls apart and you're like, maybe not such a good idea to pick that person, you can pick a new healthcare proxy. But the important thing is that these documents, once they're activated, they don't stay active forever. As soon as you get control back, everything goes on mute, everything pauses, everything stops. You are back in control. You are back empowered in your own life. And then you can make decisions if you want to make any changes accordingly. So yeah, so that's kind of my little spiel tonight. I guess the last thing that I can say is these conversations that you have with yourself, with your loved ones, they are the gift that keep on giving. It's unbelievable how deep this can go. It's also incredible how much practice we need having these conversations as well. But it's just such a good thing for you to do, because at the end of life, and advanced care planning is planning for your end of life. When your end of life comes, wouldn't it be wonderful to not have to worry about some of this stuff? Wouldn't it be wonderful to know that you are in loving hands? Wouldn't it be wonderful to not have to worry about, I wish I had this conversation with somebody? So have the conversation, have it often, have it with everybody. And yeah, thank you all. That's all I have to say on that. And if anybody has any questions, I would love to hear them. Yes, yes, Laura Lee Kelly.
So I'm just so glad we're doing this. Thank you. That was amazing.
Oh,
and I guess my question is, if someone wants to hire you, I'm guessing you're going to lead them through filling out the paperwork and share with them how to have the conversation, and maybe be with them when they're having the conversations. Like, how does that function?
Yes, that is certainly available, and part of what I do is sit with people and help them have these conversations, because it is so hard. And I am pretty good at it. I'm pretty good at just going right in there and having the talk. And so, yes, I would be honored to have that conversation with anybody at any time. And sometimes having a neutral person as you're sitting together, talking through these very intimate, very intense documents, sometimes like a neutral person is good to have to start with. But then eventually you're going to have that conversation with everybody else. Is there anybody else? Is there anything I didn't make clear or rush through, or any comments? Does anybody here have any? Oh, yes.
This is a little bit off. So I thought I read, because I've gone on that 5 Wishes website in the past, but not for a while. And I don't know if it was through them or somewhere else that it came up that in addition to these forms and your will itself, that a good idea was to have kind of like a little bit more informal type of thing about things that might not be in your will, but you know, how you would like, you know, a memorial service to be, or other things.
Yes.
And I was wondering if there's anything that gives you any guidance on just some questions that maybe might bring up thoughts for you that you might want to put down.
Oh, yes, that's a really great question. And one of the things that is under the parasol of advanced care planning is exactly that. There are people who like to write their own obituaries. There are people who like to plan their entire funeral ahead of time. There are people who think whatever the kids want. But if you, like, for example, want some of your ashes shot up into space, which is a thing, you need to plan for that. And you need to tell somebody you want some ashes, you know, circling the planet. So there is, I'm not sure if there is an exact document for that, or if that could just sort of be like an addendum to the 5 Wishes. That would be more a personal conversation that you would have. And again, like there's so many incredible eco-friendly options for your body once you've left it. That's also something that you could make sure that people know. Do you want a green burial? Do you want a traditional service? Like, those are all wonderful conversations. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes.
Just a few things. A lot of experience we've got. Not my own yet, but I was telling
Susan, yes.
about that I had actually gotten 5 Wishes when my mother became terminally ill with her MS, and that was in 2004. And I had gotten the documents and I'd given it to her, and she wrote on there, like, I don't know, 5 wishes filled out or something, but we never did. After she died, I got it back unfilled out. And I just really, it really got crazy and ugly. I mean, you don't hear about the ugly things, but it can be, you know, depending on the dynamics. And I really want to, I know this is about the end of life, but on the way to the end of your life, these other sections, I think, to make your death a better one can be really important, like how comfortable I want to be. I was talking with Susan earlier, who, you know, how, like, for example, my mother did not ever want her bedroom door closed. But the people that, she didn't want to go into a nursing home or like that kind of thing. So she had, you know, she was able to trade off. And so the person that she was living with was the healthcare proxy, because that was the only way she could be there. And, you know, it's like all this politics. But anyhow, the thing is, like, there's stuff in there, like who you want around you. I was prevented from being around my mom, free will, by these other people. I had to get the police go in and you know, because you never know, things get ugly, like with the estate, you know, because it just, you know, crazy stuff. So, you know, I would really encourage people to look at those, like, who do you want around you? Do you want music playing? Because other people could be deciding, turn off the radio, shut the door, and like, look in, is she dead yet? You know what I mean? That's really what was happening with my mom, okay? And my mother was a rights advocate. So, you know, those little things, you know, are important. Just another note, which is not about end of life, but there is something in New York State called the Psychiatric Advance Directive. Something you could probably find online if that pertains to you. And that would be if you are hospitalized in a psychiatric facility or a loved one, right? You know, what are the treatments you want and don't want?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And that brings up also, in this world that we now live in with the just dementia, Alzheimer's, so many people are becoming affected with these diseases that again, this is a time when you are literally of sound mind and body to think about what your wishes are, especially your wishes of who would you like in the room with you at the end.
Yes.
I mean, these are all things that these are all things that seem like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. This conversation is so hard, but what it is, it's you taking control back. It's you taking some power back over this event that is happening to yourself, to your body, by having these conversations, by filling these documents out, by stating your wishes. It's one of the only ways that we can take some control back from this thing that's happening to us that often we feel like we have no control over anymore. So, okay.
There was a question from Jane. Jane, do you want to answer your question or do you want to read it?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I think that's it. Oh, there we go. The plus, yes. Yeah. Hi. Jane?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there
Um,
you are. Hi.
Hi. Do you have any recommendations for choosing a healthcare proxy for someone who doesn't have children or any family members that you can rely
Yes.
on?
Yes, I do. I would encourage, if you are somebody who has access to the New York Times,
Yeah.
I would read this in, oh, I'm sorry, was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
Oh, great. I would encourage you to read that article that I have listed in the chat. It talks all about that. It's a group of friends. It opens with a group of friends, literally, who were sitting with a friend who was never married, didn't have any other family, and they're helping create a care plan for him.
Uh-huh. It's
Because that is actually very common thing. There are a lot of people who don't have anybody. So you can reach out to clergy or just, relatives. It's a good time to maybe reconnect with people in your life, because this could be a good reason to reconnect with some people in your life.
You're referring to the article, How to Make a Caregiving Plan?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
you're very welcome. Thank you. So now I think we should turn it over to Laura Lee and just have everybody, because I'm a little stimulated by this conversation. I need to calm down a little.
Well, thank you again. And I feel, what occurs to me is just how potentially healing, coming from my standpoint, the conversation can be to be able to acknowledge, if you know in advance, we all know we're going to die, but if you do have that foresight to be able to do the planning, I think it's incredibly healing to be able to, have this conversation. So I think it opens a lot of transformation within family systems. So thank you for opening that door for us. And so I am Laura Lee, and I am a healer based in Amagansett and a little bit in New York City. Susan and I decided to do this together, which is such a great idea. So my work really focuses on supporting people in their healing journey, in their journey to self-awareness and awakening, and really supporting people who are interested in why they are here, what they are here to, what their soul is really, really here to accomplish, what their soul is here to learn in this lifetime. And so, of course, this is an important part of that because we're all going through it. I would like to just take you through a little journey. I work one-on-one with people in my office and online, and I work with groups more and more. So working with me one-on-one might look very different than what I'm going to do in this group because it's going to be led. One-on-one involves much, obviously, specifically like what your obstacles are, often what our soul is really here to do and accomplish and embody and become has to do often with what is most challenging for us in our lives. Not always. Some of us are lucky and just like it's poof, it's there. But so it one-on-one involves really focusing on where the imbalances are through the body. My history is as a body worker for 32 years. So I do what I do through the lens of the body and the energy of the body and what the restrictions are, where there's depletion, and looking at the patterns, the energetic patterns that a person has in their life, which are always revealed in various different ways with whatever is going on the outside, what their interactions are. So I'd like to just prepare us to just have a little bit of a journey. So I invite you to just get really comfortable. Just get really comfortable if you can, if it's easy for you to do so, to have both of your feet on the floor. For those of you that are at home, you can lie down, you can just make yourself comfortable, or you can stay seated, whatever you'd like. And so I just invite you to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Begin to attune yourself to the rhythm of the breath, feeling the weight of the body on your chair, on the floor, back of the seat, feet on the floor. So as you're inhaling, imagine that you're bringing in relaxation, presence, peace. And as you're exhaling, you're letting go of anything that you don't need. Letting go of anything that you're holding that you don't need to be holding. Just really slowing down, inviting the nervous system to slow down now and begin to listen. It's just really an opportunity and an invitation to meet yourself in this moment, whatever happens to be arising in this moment. Whatever memories might arise around this topic, whatever fears might arise around this topic, all of that is welcome. All of you is welcome. Just really tuning to the breath. One more slow, deep inhalation. Bringing the air all the way to the top of the lungs. If you could stretch out the top of the lung tissue even more. And really exhale everything out, all the energies that you don't need, any energies that are in your system, in your sphere that aren't yours, that don't belong there, letting all of that go. And I just want you to center yourself and bring your attention inside your body to a place that feels like you are home inside of yourself. Wherever that may be. It could be in your chest or in your hands or your pelvis or your feet. Where does it feel like home inside of your body? And just give yourself permission to rest there. Just resting inside of yourself. Noticing if you're holding any part of your body. If there's any tension in your feet or your shoulders or your jaw, your belly. If there's any clenching in the pelvis, in the knees, in the brain. Just really being in the senses. See if you can discern the difference between feeling, listening, being with, and the mental interpretation of those things. And see if you can just let the mental interpretation fall away. Just hear the sounds of the space. Just feel whatever you feel in your body. Just be in a receiving of yourself. I'm going to invite you now to bring your attention. I'm going to just run through your energy system of the chakras. I'm just going to invite all of those chakras to open just as easily as though we were just plugging in lights into a wall. So bring your attention now below your feet, about a foot below your feet. This is the 10th chakra. It is the part of you that if you were standing barefoot on the earth, this part of you is always inside the earth. After all, we are animals of the earth. And the earth is what we are. We require this atmosphere to survive. Just tuning into and opening that area. There's a beautiful ball of light below your feet. And just as you breathe into it, we're just asking for it to open and expand into it. This plane of light that lives in the earth, that is also a part of us. And bringing your attention now all the way up into your pelvis and your hips. The first chakra, breathing into the pelvis and opening as though you were just opening a door inside of yourself, opening into this beautiful, luminous matrix of your own light body. And if there are any restrictions, just ask and release them. Release them to be transmuted into the atmosphere, into the earth, opening that door into yourself. It's the foundation of who you are. Part of you that feels that you have a place here in this life on the planet right now, this moment. You have a purpose here. You have come here for a purpose, to experience the exquisite pleasure of being a human at this moment. Breathing now into your abdomen, second chakra, breathing into the door or the bowl of light in your belly. All of your creativity and your sensuality and your power, the ability to connect and commune with other. Opening this doorway into who you are, expanding into it, using the breath as a tool to expand into the energy of all that you are beyond your imagination. After all, we have a depth that is as deep, as far as the cosmos inside of us. Opening up to the depth of who you are beyond what you could possibly imagine. Breathing now into the solar plexus, opening up the chakra of the solar plexus. Releasing any attachments, any false beliefs that you have about your life, about your possibility, about your capacity to love and to become. Using the breath as the fuel for yourself. Breathing now, sliding up into the heart. Deep breath into the heart and just spend some time here, just feeling the container of your heart. Just expand into the center of your heart. Any hurts that linger, asking for support to transform them. Asking for support to see whatever you need to see and to feel whatever you need to feel inside of yourself. Giving yourself permission to meet all of who you are. There's nothing to fix. There's nowhere to go. It's just being with yourself right now in this moment. And just noticing if you can perceive what your energy feels like. Is there any idea, any feeling, any sensory information contained here for you? Any colors, any sounds? And what is the particular frequency of your heart center? It's completely singular heart center. Opening that door and inviting it to expand, breathing into it as though you were breathing into an egg inside of your chest. And as you breathe into the egg, it gets bigger and bigger. And maybe it expands outside of the body into the room. Take up as much room as you can here. No matter what arises, just allow yourself to meet and say yes to whatever arises through your senses. Sliding now up into the throat, breathing into the part of you that expresses the truth of who you are. And what are your truest wishes, truest dreams? What is particular language that you have come here to speak? The way that you came here to embody the truth of who you are. Opening that energy center into the self. Here, I invite you to just release any influences. Anything that anybody ever said about you, about your life, about death, Same. Be restricted. Any cause geez, sort of huge span something. And all that weapons still bringing you just sweeping away any of the debris and any part of your being, anything that doesn't belong here. Just imagine and feel the energy of your throat expanding and moving now up into the forehead, the energy center of the third eye. Access to all of your deep knowing, all of your deep knowing. Imagine if you had lived millions of lifetimes, how much wisdom, how much awareness might you have acquired? How many spiritual initiations might you have gone through? We're just inviting all of that wisdom to open up to you. All of the initiations to become activated right now in this moment. Opening the doorway into this part of who you are. Moving into the top of the head. Opening the doorway in the crown of the head. Access to all of your support, all of the invisible guidance that's available to us, all of the wisdom of our helpful ancestors. Awakening all of beautiful, helpful genetic information we carry through all of our lineages. Access to knowing, deep, deep knowing, deep embodied knowing. Breathing into now the area just above the head. Just above the head, another energy center. Deep access to all of the energy of your life. All the energy of your potential awakening. What if all of that awakening could be completely online right now in this moment? What if you didn't have to wait another moment? Now moving even farther, about an arm's length above the body. Breathing into that energy center, all the way up above the body, the energetic boundary of who you are. Your access to whatever is your spirit, whatever is your God, whatever expresses divine love for you in your life, is accessing all of that energy now. Just imagine all that energy just showering down all the way around the body. It's a beautiful, luminous light field all the way around the body. Breathing also into the hands and feet, the energy center that live in the hands and feet. Just imagine beautiful light shining in the hands and feet, spreading all throughout the body. Just bringing all of who you are into full awareness, full receiving, and full letting go of what you no longer need. I want you to just imagine this next chapter of your life as being the most important chapter. Just think about all of your hopes and dreams, what you hope to accomplish. what you are really in deepest in your heart here to do, your deepest wishes. All of the other souls that you want to connect with, the way that you would like to be in community, the way that you would like to be in relationship with your family members, the way that you would like to be in relationship to your divine mother and your divine father. Just think about all of what is possible. Everything is possible to you in this next chapter of your life. And knowing that you are fully protected, fully safe, fully being supported in your life in ways that you couldn't possibly begin to dream of. Imagine that there is thousands and thousands of angels at your back, supporting you, mirroring back to you what your highest potential is. Bring your attention now back into your center. Breathing into the center of who you are, where you feel at home inside of yourself, where you feel safe and secure inside of yourself. Whenever you are ready, just open your eyes and come back into the room. Ground yourself. Now imagine beautiful roots coming down through the soles of your feet. Anytime you feel off center, anytime there's a feeling that something is causing you distress or worry or fear, there's just one thing you could do. It's just to ground yourself, just to affirm that you are safe in your body. Remembering a time when you felt safe in your body, going back to that. Thank you.
Oh, that was really good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Everybody feel better? Alrighty. And also thank you to Reverend Kimberly and the Bridgehampton Universalist Unitarian Church. Thank you so much for making this happen.
I think you girls should take this on the road. You've got to show that it works for me.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for everyone. For being
Yeah,
here.
thank you so much.
So, I can have you, sorry. A question I got earlier was about the documents and could we send a document to the people on, is there a way to have them in digital, have a link or something? I could send people?
Yes, whose ever question that was, please email me and I can help you out there. So please, you can email me directly at stout.susan@yahoo.com and let me know what it is that you're looking for and I can help you find it. I would be happy to.
For my life purpose.
Is there a document for that?
I wish there's a map.
Yes, it's called your heart.
Oh.
Good answer.
How does that work? Working together is quite remarkable.
It's good, right? It feels
Yeah,
like
it works.
such a natural fit to be talking about this issue of soul and
Of
life
that
and
paper there.
and to speaking. Have you speak to it in your own language and bring it home.
Well, it's interesting just my own
Okay, medical
orders for life-sustaining treatment. My experience is like talking about that or.
Do you know, and I
It really
just
up
heard
your
that.
tiny
for the first
first
time.
thing,
Yeah.
cerebral place
In regards to my.
Yeah, so getting practice
Suggest.
and speaking about it.
Never heard
from
that
the experience body.
So it's the
Is
separate.
universal. And it's, I think it is really the way is that our society needs so much more of, so that we can. The strange thing is to say, so that we can normalize death. But
Yes.
No,
So
it's true.
beautiful.
It's true because this is one of those conversations that immediately throws us out of our body, right? Because we're just like, oh, it's too unsettling. And then Laura Lee's work is like, nope, come back. Come back, fortify yourself, reconnect yourself, and then
Yeah.
move forward. So
Yeah.
it's really good.
And just being able to cultivate the resilience to be able to withstand the discomfort around it is so, not just about death, but about everything that life has.
Yes.
Everything that's hard, being human can be very hard. So yeah, I think that's really what the point is, right? Like to withstand the emotional intensity of life and death.
Yeah, because it's hard.
Preparation for death,
It's,
actually.
yeah, and it's uncomfortable and it makes us want to do everything but as I mentioned, like we are all going to reach an end of this road. And all the kicking and screaming and money and plastic surgery and fancy clothes and fancy houses, it doesn't stop it, right? I mean, we're all going there. And sometimes all the stuff is just armor that we put on, pretending it's not gonna happen. So what I'm really invested in, and it sounds like you're really invested in too, it's just being comfortable with it. It's like, this is happening. And also talk
Yeah, I
about
just
it,
wanted
like,
to, I probably could find it on.
makes us
I
live
just wanted to
get
get
right, because it reminds us like we're not here forever. And so the bumps in the road can be lessened so much by reminding ourselves, like, we don't have all the time in the world. Like, I have to say, since I started this doula training, like over 2 years ago, my appreciation for life and my ability to just be like, well, it could have been worse, has grown exponentially. Because at least I'm still alive and I can figure it out, where I can, I can hug my dog, I can have it, it sounds like you, I can be with your friends, I can, yeah, so.
I've done that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also something that in like writing an email or send out to people that night. And also maybe think about like how much we think about and maybe plans for and around or someone's birth. Yes, and milestones along the way. And then it just feels like towards the end of life, it just becomes this dark closet that we shove people into and ideas into and feelings and our life into. But how remarkable to shepherd our and like actually like a story. Right. Like write the whole thing and give meaning to it all and see it all the way from this all the way to the end. Where I think we spoke about this, like when my father died, seeing him literally almost without left signing papers in his death in his with my mother who had dementia, terribly.
So you had the conflict with your sister
Or the grown adult children right now. Weirdly, I mean, it's hard. Everybody gets that.
But I just called my brother. I hadn't called it, it's his birthday, and I called him.
So
He's in
much
Alaska,
gets
it was his
done,
time.
and I didn't say it's like
Off the island.
you know, the awareness, I mean,
So, yeah, but it's also, it's also. You have.
didn't even know we were
Some of
slipping into that. I'm so. Really sorry, your enemies, the ones that.
Let them know this is your plan. Right, and also, this is your plan. They may not agree with it, but this is something you can give them a copy. I think you want to give it like to your doctor. And then you can that is not.
So it should be.
You know,
as
other
quick
people
as
think
possible.
it's if you look at that.
As our first.
It's so much study.
All ready to go.
An adopted big sister.
That's right.
We had talked about this. And I don't think we.
Done is my.
But I just want to go up. Some things I made.
And we're gonna say Shiva, even though I'm not
You
Jewish.
know that,
And everybody-
I don't know, my brother deciding. Just have the document.
Sign me up.
I mean, that's really the point of spiritual practice. in my- I mean, one thing all the names will say, you know, it's like, this is the preparation. for the
I brought my
emotional
my,
testing.
my dog, to both when my partner died and my mother.
I understand that,
You could do it in phase, but I have 2 cats.
because we're not,
And,
like, there's no.
and somehow I want, like, and I don't know, bring my body to the house, because one of them's like really feral. I mean, cats, it's not like a dog, you know, walk them on a leash, you know. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank you
wonderful
for
to meet you.
But when you have something in place.
Just
that
hello
says-
to everybody on Zoom. My name's Eva. I'm speaking.
Oh, good.
I'm a member here at the congregation.
Hi.
And so it was nice having you here, and you're always welcome to look on our website, which is Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the South Fork, or UUCSF.org, I think. And we also have a Facebook page.
So I'm gonna close up this Zoom room now.
It was okay.
Yeah. No, yeah. People don't know, because I was a